Welcome back, everybody, to We Talk Film. I'm your host, as always, Barry, joined as always by Clayton. How you doing, Clayton?
Hey, Barry, welcome back to another episode. Oh, boy.
It is another episode of We Talk Film, episode 29. Clayton, 29 episodes of We Talk Film. Wow.
That's impressive. That's insane.
That
I'm
is
glad
impressive.
that you remember the number, because the way you said it, I thought you were going to be like, what number are we up to? And I'm like, I have no
what
idea,
number
Barry.
are we up to?
I've lost
know.
count.
I lost count
stopped
after
counting
5,
three.
let's be honest.
Yeah. I don't think I could name 3 of our episodes.
No, neither can I.
fine.
The only one I can remember is like the first one we ever did was Cocaine Bear. No, I can remember the first episode. Like, that's the only episode I ever need to remember is Cocaine Bear.
God. It's a terrible episode too. If you go back and listen to it,
Yeah,
the audio quality alone, it's we didn't know what we were doing.
Oh man, we
Still
didn't
don't
know what we're doing. Exactly,
Still
we just
figuring
kind
it
of
out.
go with the flow. Still figuring it out. We're getting there. So
Right, and we still-
Clayton, we have
Yes,
obviously
Barry.
a few things going on today, but as always, before we get ahead with any of the stuff we're talking about today, spoiler warning ahead. Because, we always forget it when we actually start talking about the stuff. So I thought I'd press it now before we
True.
actually start talking about the stuff. But before we do that stuff as well, we're obviously going to go straight into the news.
All right, well, we got some new trailers this week, Barry. I don't know if you caught up with any of them. There wasn't really anything that caught my eye, except for this film called The Bike Riders, starring Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. Got a trailer the other day. It looks cool. It's set in
It's kinda
1965. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of an Easy Rider sort of modern take on a whole gangster bikey film in the 60s.
Yep.
And that's coming out December 1st in theaters, so it's not that far away. And I hadn't heard about it until this morning, so I'll check it out. It looks cool. Have you seen that one, Barry?
Yeah, no, I did see the trailer for it. It's got Tom Hardy, it's got Elvis in it, and a few other reputable, well-known actors as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, there was a couple other names that I saw on there. Like Charlie Hunnam, isn't it?
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool, because since he was in Sons of Anarchy as well, that's pretty cool seeing him back doing something like that again. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. But we also got some other trailers. We got a couple superhero movies. The first one is we got a trailer for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom coming out December 20.
That's right. That's a film that's still coming out that I totally forgot about.
Oh, it somehow looks more generic than the first one, and the first one was pretty damn generic, Barry. This looks awful. The CGI looks worse. But I'm excited to see more Tamura Morrison. So
why not?
I'll watch
Why
it just
not?
for him.
Yep.
That's about it.
That's really about it, let's be honest.
Yes, and then we got 2 other ones that I'm not sure if you know about, because both streaming exclusive things. One of them is a film called Pet Sematary Bloodlines, coming to Paramount Plus on October 6th.
Yes,
watch
I
the
did
trailer
see
for
that
this
one.
one, Barry?
I did actually watch the
This
trailer for
one-
that one.
Doesn't look too bad. I mean,
No.
considering you haven't really got a good Pet Sematary film, like ever.
Yeah, well, that's the
fact
thing
that
now,
this one
because
doesn't look
this
too
is
bad.
not a remake of the
this is a
movie or the
sequel.
book or anything like that. It's like, what is it actually going to be necessarily about and everything like that? So I'm actually kind of interested in seeing it, more of that world, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I don't think the book ever got a sequel or a continuation. So
No,
it'd be kind
no,
of
it
cool
didn't.
to see a spin on that story, because I love the story, the
Yeah.
novel and the book and everything. Yeah, Pet Sematary is really cool, and I like the first movie despite it not being a good movie. I like that one. So
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I like seeing animals that are evil.
And people that are evil. That's always the
And
case.
mostly people. Mostly
Mostly
people. in this one. Speaking of people, here's a movie with everyone in it, because this ties into the movie that we're talking about later on. Is this some new movie from Mr. Wes Anderson coming for Netflix? It's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and it's going to be that short film. You remember we talked about it
Yeah, we did talk about
briefly
this
a couple weeks ago when it was announced, but it got a trailer. Benedict
okay.
Cumberbatch is shining in it. There's a very Sherlocky vibes to it.
He's shining? Is he shiny? Like, is he like Twilight shiny?
No, he's talking to the audience. I guess he's shining
okay.
with the audience, and shining metaphorically like the star he is. But that movie looks kind of cool. It'd be exciting to see a short film from Mr. Wes. So, yeah, I'm happy for that.
Yep.
That
Yep.
concludes our trailers. Moving on to some more news. All of my news stories are Marvel related, except for the
Oh,
wacky one at the end,
great.
but we'll get to that. It's
More
just because
from
nothing happened this
Marvel.
week.
Wow.
It's been a very dry week in
It
film.
must be a
The
dry week if
strikes
we're
are
talking
still
about
happening.
Marvel. Yeah.
Nothing else has come out of anything. Otherwise, we'd be reporting some more important facts. But
Yeah.
these are cool nonetheless. Our first story comes out of Loki season 2, where an executive producer has confirmed that Jonathan Majors is a big part of this season. His character of
Ooh,
Kang, or
okay.
one of the Kangs,
Yep.
is a bigger role than we thought. I mean, we saw the professor-looking Kang variant in it, and apparently he's going to be bigger than we thought, or there's going to
Yep.
be more of him. I'm all for it. I like seeing
Yep.
him.
Yep.
He's been the best part of recent years is when they utilize him properly. So if anything's going to utilize him properly, it'll be Loki. So that's cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I'm
More,
very much looking
more
forward to it for
Jonathan
sure.
Majors, more Loki. And this one here, Marvel is reportedly, and this is coming from inside leaks and rumors, is delaying Secret Wars until 2028 at least. It's
Wow.
It seems like it's just they're pushing everything back. There's nothing
Yeah.
set in stone, really.
Okay.
They had about 30 movies planned before they got to Secret Wars, so it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise
Yeah.
me that it's being pushed back till then. Which, I mean, think about that. That's only like 5 years away. It's not too much of a stretch,
No,
really. I mean,
no, but it's kind of interesting because then it will be what? How many years after the last Avengers film? Then, well, when did
oof, yeah, well,
Endgame come out?
that'll mark 20 years since Iron Man came out. So
Oh, wow.
that's a
Okay.
that's a
Wow,
big
that's a
amount. Oh,
long
yeah, so
time.
2028, because Endgame was 2019, right? So that's
Yeah,
9
yeah.
years? Yeah, 9 years after the last Avengers film, which,
Wow.
makes sense because all of the
That makes
Avengers are
me
old
feel
and
old.
retired. Yeah, I know. I mean, I remember seeing the first Avengers in cinemas,
I
and there's
remember
kids that are
seeing
watching these
Iron
ones
Man
that
at
haven't seen it.
cinemas.
Yeah,
So,
I was
yeah.
a little bit too young
Damn.
for that. Iron Man, I was
Damn.
5 when Iron Man came out, but I still
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
watching it before I watched Avengers, so it's
Yep,
like
yep.
but no, it's crazy. We're getting old, Barry. We're
I
getting
know, we're getting
5
old.
years
How do
from
you think
now.
I feel? I'm ancient.
Uh, That's true,
Uh,
Barry. You're gonna be in your 30s when Secret Wars comes out.
oh, I'm definitely gonna have white hair by then, that's for sure.
You're gonna be in a retirement home, like, before we get to Secret Wars. Oh
Uh,
god. Alright. Oh, and, it turns out I do have a story that isn't Marvel. I wrote it in the middle of them because 'cause they're kinda connected. They're
yay.
both Disney. 'Cause,
Good old
Star
Disney.
Wars Lando, the, show that was reportedly in develop from
Yes.
Mr. Donald Glover himself was writing and directing it, is becoming a movie now. It's no longer a show, it's being developed
Yep.
as a movie, which is cool. It'll probably just
Yeah.
be a similar sort of thing to Solo.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
I'm
We
all
need more
for it
Star Wars
too.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
because
I
that's the
have
thing. It's
faith in
been
them.
such a long time now since we've had a Star Wars film. I really want a Star Wars film. ASAP. Like I want
Yeah,
one now. Give it to me.
I want good Star Wars. Yes,
Yeah,
good Star
yeah.
Wars. Anyway,
We do have
switching
good
back
Star Wars,
over
but you
to
know.
the Marvel side, we got another rumor that Daniel Radcliffe, Mr. Harry Potter himself, has a
Yep.
secret role in Deadpool 3. And
Yep.
I can tell by your smile that you knew about this. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
curious to see who you think Mr. Harry Potter is going to be playing in Deadpool 3, Barry.
I can give you a very high percentage as to what he's going to be playing because of
Who do you
like
think?
he's going to be playing a variant of Wolverine.
Yes, because he was rumored to
Yes.
replace Hugh Jackman.
Yep, yep.
Don't see it, but
Um,
I'm sure
yeah, I always thought it
he'll
was like a
surprise
weird
us with his
casting
performance.
choice.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like a quick cameo type thing of him in a Wolverine suit or something like that. Just the type of movie by the sounds
Probably.
of it and what it is and everything. They got to make a joke out of it. Which
Mm.
Daniel Radcliffe, knowing his stuff, he would be down for as well. Or he's just going to be some side character, maybe that has a bit
Who
more
knows?
of a potential character arc in it. Because still very little
Yeah.
information is coming out about that film, or actual accurate information. Because even the director, Sean Levy or whatever, is literally just like, oh yeah, no, all those casting rumors you heard, like some of them are true, some of them are not. You'll find out when the movie comes out.
That's great. I love that guy. He's
Yeah,
just messing with everyone because yeah,
he
this
is
movie
messing with
sounds
everyone.
sounds more insane every week. Every
Yeah,
week we
yeah,
cover this
yeah.
movie, and we're like 1,000 more people are in it. It's
And that's
it's
the
just
thing,
getting
because
more and more insane.
I know they
Yeah,
bring up the date or whatever to be releasing next year, which I think it's going to be pushed back now because they're only halfway done through
yeah,
filming of it and everything.
yeah.
So, I think it's going to be pushed back to
True.
late 2024 now, depending on how much longer the strikes go for. Because obviously, yeah, they're still going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And it needs to be sorted. Please, I want to have at least some good films coming out in the next year.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, it does seem like it's getting pushed back. But yeah, Marvel have have decided to release something special for Halloween this year. I'm not sure if you are aware of what's coming out on Halloween, Barry. It's something different. It's something never before seen. It's impressive. You're gonna love it. You
Oh,
know what
but
it
we,
is?
we we have seen it before, just not in color.
Ah, it's Werewolf by Night, but it's in color. It's Werewolf by
Yeah.
Day.
Obviously, they had nothing planned for Halloween
No.
this year, so they're just like, oh, let's re-release the thing we released last year, but this time in color.
Sure. I mean, I'll watch it just so that I
Yeah.
can see like more of the costumes and stuff in
Yeah,
color,
yeah.
see
I'd
how
like to see
everything
what they
looks.
all look like and stuff like that. But I suppose like the end of it,
Yeah.
it was in color anyway of the
Switch.
special.
Yeah.
I
We
still
didn't get to
like
see
the
the
black and white
werewolf.
version of it.
Yeah. We didn't get to see the
I
werewolf in
just yeah,
color.
that overall aesthetic. Yeah, but I'll give it a watch again. I kind of forgot about it, and
Sure.
it was one of the
I
best
liked it.
things Marvel released like last year as well. So
Yeah. No, that's true. It was good. It was a good watch.
yeah.
That is it for my Marvel news, which is it for the news
Ooh, the
because there's
news,
nothing else
because we
happened
get on to the
except for
wacky
this.
news.
Oh, wacky news. All right, so this is the second wacky story involving the Pope that we've covered on this show. And, and I can tell by your reaction, Barry, that you're like, what the hell? What's the Pope doing
What's
again?
the Pope
Well,
doing
this
again?
well, Mr. Francis met with one Sylvester Stallone recently. And no, I just know
Okay,
his family was on
that's already
holiday or
wacky.
something.
That's the saying those two words combined. The Pope meeting Sylvester Stallone is probably the wackiest thing.
It's true. Well, anyway, I watched the clip. So Rocky goes up to him and he's like, I'm a big fan. Adrian told me all about you. And then yeah, and then Mr. Francis turns to him and he goes, "No, the honor's all mine. We grew up with your films." And the Pope, the Pope's like, "I love your movies." And Sylvester Stallone, he raises his fists and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna fight then." And then the Pope like goes, "Hoo hoo," and does like little punches at him. And I
And
never thought I'd
Sylvester
see the
Stallone, and then he died.
so now there's like a video of the Pope going to punch Sylvester Stallone.
Oh,
And
that is great. That is great.
it's really funny because it's like I'm not sure the Pope is allowed to make like violent gestures towards people, even as like a joke. I don't know.
Uh, neither
Might
do
have
I,
just
man. But
broken like a
that
rule.
that is funny. That is probably a broken rule. He's gonna get kicked out now.
No. They're all good fans of his films, so
Yeah.
he gets away with it.
Look, we all love
It's
Adrian.
it's great. So yeah, that concludes our wacky news, Barry. Let's
That
move on to
is
the
some wacky news.
main event for tonight, Mr. Barry.
The main event for tonight. Ooh. Yes, there has been a
Oh.
film that has been out for a while now. We have discussed it about many times on the podcast if we weren't going to do it, but we ended up doing it just for the special episode 29. Because 29 is an odd number, and this is such an odd film. So we watched Asteroid City,
Good segue.
directed by Wes Anderson. Writers were Wes Anderson and Roman Coppola as well. Coppola, which is obviously Francis Ford Coppola's son. I was a bit surprised by that. But obviously, yes, it's a Wes Anderson film, so you're going to have Jason Schwartzman in it, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Jack Ryan, Grace Edwards. Basically, every single person that he's worked with has appeared in this film and more. Willem Dafoe, Margot Robbie. And the list goes on and on and on for this film.
Matt Dillon, Jeff Goldblum for 2 seconds.
Yep, that's right. Like, it was
Every
an
single person that's ever
film.
worked in cinema.
So I will give you a quick synopsis upon this film,
Sperry.
following a writer on his world-famous fictional play about a grieving father who travels with his tech-obsessed family to small rural Asteroid City to compete in a junior stargazing event, only to have his worldview disrupted forever. Dun dun dun.
Oh.
Yes, this is probably, and this is what I've heard from other reviews and stuff, the most Wes Anderson has ever Wes Andersoned.
It's true. He Wes Anderson so hard that Wes Anderson looks like Wes Anderson compared to this Wes Anderson. It's insane, Barry.
It is insane. Like, this is on
So,
a
yes.
whole nother level, this movie.
Oh,
Go for it,
God.
Clayton.
Yes.
You want to talk about it, Phil? Go talk about
Oh,
it.
Barry. Oh, Barry. So you watched this film last night, and I watched this film this morning. You sent me a message saying it's not his best work. You were very and ahhing of if you
Yeah.
even liked this movie. And then I was like, okay, now this has kind of put me off because some of our friends went and saw it, and yeah, again, they had the same sort of view. They were like, I don't really get it, or it was too much Wes Anderson, or it was too much this, it was too much that. I watched it this morning, and I have to say, Barry, I think this is in my top 3 Wes Anderson movies. I really love this film.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
it goes Bottle Rocket, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then this.
Wow.
I loved it. I got it. It just clicked with me, and I don't know why. So huge spoilers for this movie, everyone. If you haven't seen it, we're gonna spoil the crap out of it. So,
spoiler warning.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, this movie is a whole bunch of wacky people meet in this fictional town that looks like a play set because everything's kind of a play that's happening as it's being played out. It's confusing to explain. And then you watch it and it's just as confusing, but you slowly get drawn into this world. There's an alien, there's governments, there's dudes that are freaky. Tom Hanks is got a mustache. All sorts of wacky stuff is happening. And then by the end of this movie, I don't know if this was for you, but it just everything made sense. It just clicked for me, Barry. And it didn't click for you.
It didn't click for me, buddy.
Barry, nothing happens in this film, and that's why it's great.
Exactly. Nothing happens at all. And I'm just like, what the hell did I just watch? What did I just waste nearly 2 hours watching where a film just ends? And I'm just like, so that was it. Okay, cool.
Barry, I got to the end and I'm like, that was awesome. That was near perfect. I don't know why. It clicked for me, Barry. This film's about nothing, and yet it means everything. It delves into human existence and like the meaning of life and everything. And it doesn't give answers because the characters don't find out the answers. Everyone's looking for some kind of answer in this movie, and none is given. And I love it. It's so different. And it's only an hour and 45 minutes long, so it's under 2 hours. It's an easy little get-through watch. But it's
easy.
confusing as hell. General audiences, I'm surprised that general audiences liked the movie as much as they were saying when it came out, because this is a very weird movie. This is an odd film in every meaning of the sense.
Well, that's the thing. I've never been a massive fan of Wes Anderson. Like, I've always thought that his films and everything like that, sure, they are cool, really to watch visually and everything like, and so is this film. Yet again, he has outperformed himself with Asteroid City, and the set design and everyone behind that is phenomenal. And how they do like in a camera, then on stage and everything like that, and the whole meta thing. I enjoyed that whole thing, but it was just, I don't know, something about the overall story. It was literally about nothing. To me,
kind of it's weird because I think that's
but it was also
point,
a story.
The point. It's a story about nothing. It's just a look into internal characters where nothing changes. They don't feel any different at the end of the movie, and they wonder why. And that's changes them wondering why nothing is changing, why nothing is getting better, why nothing is getting worse. Why anything's happening, and that it's I don't know why it makes sense to me. I love this movie.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because like I really love Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's probably my favorite one he's done. And then also French Dispatch as well. I didn't mind that one.
Yep.
And obviously Grand Budapest Hotel, and
love Grand Budapest.
Yeah.
Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, and Bottle Rocket as well. But it was just something about this one. I just wasn't getting caught on with it. It just didn't like entice me enough with the story of it all. And that's with a lot of films and stuff like that, or even video games that I play. It's for me, most of the time, it is the story. It is the character growth of characters that we see throughout it, what events through this film that changes them as a person and everything like that. And where with this, no one changes. And I'm just like, what's the point?
That's what that's the point, because that's what the characters are asking at the end of the movie as well. They're like, what was the point of all this?
And I didn't like it.
I loved it.
The only character I did absolutely love was obviously Bryan Cranston's, who was the narrator of this one. And the parts as well where he like popped up. Yeah, I'm not in this scene. Oh, wait a minute. That really got me. Like the whole meta side to it and everything like that. Like it was a play within a play almost. Watching and everything like that.
A TV show.
Yeah, but then it got kind of confusing because it was also a play because Bryan Cranston was narrating about the writer, which that narrator was talking about
in the play.
And he was also in the play himself. So, you know, that whole element was just like really cool. And like I said, the whole aesthetic and the vibes to it all, and just, you know, like his zany characters that he almost writes that is like the most weirdest, unique characters. But for this one, it was just like in all these other ones, there was character growth almost with these characters. And I understand, like, obviously the point, like you were saying, to this film wasn't necessarily like these characters weren't meant to grow. They just kind of like go to this place where obviously an alien comes down. That's the big plot line to this. They go to the Asteroid City, an alien comes down, and they're all just shocked because everyone's like, oh my God, it's an alien. It's the first time ever. And then that kind of distorts everyone's minds and stuff like that. No, that's the thing. Like, it was just like, okay, an alien came down. We're going to go back to our normal lives now after spending a week in Asteroid City. So, you know, and yeah, it was just like one of those things. Because even in, was it the Darjeeling Limited one that he did?
Darjeeling Limited? Yeah.
Yeah. Like those characters, they all had a growth by the end. They all changed by the end of it. Where with this one, the characters don't change. And for some reason, I didn't like that. I just didn't like it. I was just like, what's the point? Like they went through all that and everything like that, and they spoke to one another. I'm just like, okay, cool. That was a movie.
I don't know. I don't know why it's clicking with me as much as it is, Barry. I enjoyed this movie. This movie is one of his funniest too. Like there's some really clever jokes in this movie. Like the Bryan Cranston one, for example. The production design. Even just everything else is really funny. The Roadrunner that meeps and
yes, that's right, the Roadrunner. Yeah, because it was kind of like the blending. Alien. One thing about this film, I will admit, it was literally like all the films that he's done, animated, live action, all combined into one almost for this film, because it had obviously both elements to it, and it was just, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it.
That's the thing, is it combines all of his previous work. So what I think this film is a look inside himself. I think this is him writing about him, which is meta because the story is meta, and he's the writer dude writing about the writer dude, and he's just kind of wondering, what was the point of everything I've made? Like, he's made all these things, what was the point? He's where he was when he started, really. Being nothing. He hasn't changed.
No, he hasn't changed. He has not changed. He's just gotten more Wes Anderson.
Yeah, so which reflects it in this film. It feels like this is just a look inside his head, and I love his writing, especially his dialogue. He's probably like my favorite dialogue writer alongside like Quentin Tarantino of all filmmakers, just because of how unique and different everybody speaks. Like the words that come out of people's mouths are so poetic, yet so refreshing and unique and new, and it's insane the level of like weird creativity that this guy has. And I think this movie is just him looking inside himself, trying to find an answer through his art. And he doesn't find one.
No,
that of itself is art. No, he doesn't. So the characters don't. And I love that. It's very hard to explain how this film is, or honestly anything about this film. But yeah, it just works for me, Barry. And I'm probably just going to keep saying that over and over because I don't know what else to say.
It just works for Clayton. But yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah, and you know, I think this is the first ever film where you and I are quite like opposite ends of it. If I'm being honest, I
Yeah,
think yeah, it's the first film where it's just like, oh, this hasn't really attracted the both of us. But that's the thing though. Like oddly
yeah.
enough, if you gave me Fantastic Mr. Fox, I would rate that very highly. And same
Oh,
thing as
yeah.
like Grand Budapest Hotel and French Dispatch. But
There's
there, yeah, there was just something about this one. It didn't entice me enough. It didn't catch. I didn't get the hook like you are. You know, maybe I might have to watch it again. I wouldn't mind watching it again just for all
no.
the subtle details and stuff like that. Because how much he puts detail in his background and like everything going on at once.
Mhm.
It's very insane with his films. That's why you can watch them multiple times. I feel like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was just something about it just didn't hook me. Didn't hook me.
It's true. I feel like this film would work as like a rewatchable thing as well because the film itself has looping moments. Like when
Yes, yeah,
the guy in the hot rod drives past and he's getting chased by the same police car like 4 times throughout this movie. It feels kind of loopy, like the film
yeah,
itself is going nowhere.
yeah.
I mean, because it is, but like the characters aren't, the events that are unfolding around them aren't. But yeah, no, I don't know why. Like, I
Yeah.
get why you don't like this film, very, but like,
Well, that's the thing, because I love
yeah,
normally wacky, crazy films and
yeah.
stuff like that. But this one, it didn't hook me, man. It just didn't hook me. And I'm not sure,
Oh
maybe it
man,
was just as well. I felt like with the actors' performances, I don't think they were the best in this movie compared to what I've seen them do in his other films, if I'm being honest. And I get like obviously the reason why this is such a
yeah,
remote film and everything like that, um, that it was filmed during COVID, under COVID precautions and stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, it was just like even what's his name, the main guy, Jason Stroutzen, and stuff like
yeah,
that, and
Schwartzman,
Schwartzman, like even his
yeah,
character and Edward Norton's and one and stuff like that. It just didn't like it wasn't as best as other films that they were in with Wes
okay,
Anderson, if you know what I mean. Like it just didn't feel
yeah,
there to me. And I think
no,
maybe it could have been, maybe it was getting too meta and they weren't sure how to be like that line because they're trying to be serious about it all because it's meant to be a play within a play within a play type thing. And then
yeah,
they kind of like zone in
they're
and
playing
out.
actors,
Yeah. But
yeah,
when other films do that, like Deadpool, for example, and everything like that, like it's a wacky film. They say wacky jokes and it's, you kind of expect that. And where with this type of film, I just don't feel like it worked so well, that type of thing. Like it just got too much
mm,
on top of itself, and especially with an amazing cast that it is. But I feel like there was too much of a cast. Like there was way too many characters in this film.
yeah.
Way too many.
That's That's true. I feel like, yeah, if the cast was dropped down, then it would, yeah, probably
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
bit more grounded. But then also because it doesn't go anywhere, it might have been a little bit too less of a
Yeah,
film. I don't
yeah.
know. 'Cause I really like the performances, especially Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, our two leads. I feel like she killed it in the role. She was, I don't know, there was
Oh yeah.
something about
Yeah.
her that I could feel. It was like just something about her performance was really like enticing. Like whenever she was on screen, I kept like watching her because I was like, there's something about her, something that's drawing me in, and I can't put my finger on it, and I couldn't throughout the whole movie, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
And it feels like Jason Schwartzman was doing the same thing throughout the movie, as he was, yeah, just kind of looking at her. What's up with her? I don't get it. Don't understand her.
Yeah.
But and I don't know. Do you get that, Barry? Does that make sense, or am I just
No,
spouting
no.
nonsense here?
Like somewhat like yeah, I did prefer those two
Somewhat nonsense.
characters like out of
Eh,
all the rest, if I'm being honest. But that's the thing. I would have preferred this film if it just followed those two characters. To me anyway. And that's kind of like a thing anyway, like how the films I like and everything like that. I absolutely love and adore films that really just follow one character, like one story. We see
yeah.
him got all throughout it type thing. And I felt like, yeah, maybe if they stuck with Jason's Augie Steinbeck character, because it was a pretty cool character, I will admit. And like we actually
Yeah, I
followed
liked it.
him, like because obviously the whole premise is that he lost his wife or whatever for the role that he's playing and stuff like that. Like it would have been really cool to see like the growth of that character, and then he met Midge, which was Scarlett Johansson's character, and then
Hmm.
seeing like his growth in that. But that's the thing, there was no growth type thing. They were just kind of the same throughout. And then at the end,
No.
they were still the same. It was just like, okay.
Yeah. No. as the movie goes on, he starts questioning himself and things more. Like towards the end of the film, he just burns his hand on a stove for
Yeah,
no reason, and
yeah, he
then
just
he's
does
trying
it.
to figure out why he did it.
Yeah,
So he's like, I don't know why I did that.
yeah.
Why did I do this? And it's I don't know why moments like that are sticking with me and just making me think like him. I don't know, Barry.
I don't
I don't
know
know what's
either.
going on with
But
this
did we want
movie.
to give it our final thoughts and reviews
Yes,
for
we can do
Asteroid
that.
City? So do you mind if I go first? Because
Yes, go
obviously,
for it.
yeah. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. Um, yeah. That's the thing. I still enjoyed it, like everything, the aesthetic wise and everything like that. And it was kind of cool, like having in a remote town, like they had it all set up and everything like that. But yeah, it was mainly just the story and the characters. For me, anyway, personally, I just couldn't really follow it. And I might go back now and watch it a second time. I normally do with his films, and see if I enjoyed it a second time. But yeah, I just felt like it was too much of a big cast for what they wanted to do. Where yeah, we weren't silly following one specific character too much, and we weren't seeing growth with these characters. And I feel that's
Hmm.
where it was biggest downfall for me. So yeah,
Yeah, 5 out of 10. Oh, Barry, I feel really bad for rating this film this high because there's gonna be such a this is the biggest disparity between our reviews ever because I'm giving this film a 9.5 out of 10.
wow.
Like I it's really hard to give it that high of a review because I can't really explain why it's
Yeah,
that high or why
yeah,
it's sticking with me that. And I think that's kind of the point because the movie
yeah,
itself can't explain why. Whole
yep.
thing is why, and you don't know why, and I don't know why, but this
You don't know
movie's
why.
great. I loved the performances. I was hooked on pretty much every second of this film, just in a weirdly enticing way, like with Scarlett Johansson character, for example.
Yep.
Looking at her was how I was looking at this movie, trying to make sense of it, and then obviously none of it making sense, which in turn made it make sense in a way that I can't explain. Yeah, so 9.5 out of 10 for me. Extra point 0.5 because we got to see Scarlett Johansson in a certain
Oh
scene.
yeah, we got to see Scarlett Johansson nude. So that was also kind of a
Kind of a win.
kind of a
Oh
win.
god, that was funny.
Okay.
It was really weird. Anyway, it
Such a weird scene.
was a
So
weird
back on
moment.
to our second
Yeah.
topic of tonight's podcast, what we've been following for a while now. We are talking about Ahsoka Part 5 Shadow Warrior. I still need to put the Ahsoka theme onto the
Ooh.
soundboard. But, it's Clone Wars anyway. Literally
Yeah.
Clone Wars. Spoiler warning ahead. We've done that button 3 times now. I think we've overused the button tonight, but that's all right. This
Still
was
forget the buttons there.
Still forget the buttons
It's
there.
good.
Yes, this was basically Clone Wars. We had the first time ever in live action now, the live action Clone Wars with Hayden Christensen
Yes.
as Clone Wars Anakin in the suit and everything like that. But before we get to that part of it, let's do a little quick synopsis as to what happened. So basically, on the backbone of last week's episode, which was phenomenal in itself, Ahsoka finds herself in the world between worlds and must confront her past, which is Anakin coming back as a forced ghost, or a lot of people were thinking now he has become the one that he was meant to be.
Ooh, the father.
The father, while Hera and her allies undertake a rescue mission on trying to find her and Sabine. But yes, this was very much obviously Ahsoka Tano focused episode and going in what they were doing in the world between worlds and everything like that. And this is what we talked about in last week's episode. So make sure to go watch that one before you start listening to this, or just watch this one, then go back and watch last week's episode. Do whatever you want, audience. But I was very concerned about how they were going to do world between worlds in this show, because obviously it was just teased in the last week's episode. We didn't see much of it. We just saw Hayden Christensen come back as Anakin. Where this is how the world between worlds works, and oh my gosh, they did a phenomenal job. I did not expect this to be on such a high level of Star Wars ever for this. This was absolutely outstanding.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It was insane.
It was insane.
And the best part is just how Hayden Christensen comes back as Anakin just so naturally. It's
Yeah.
almost like he never left the role, and there
Yeah.
wasn't a period of like 15 years in between Revenge of the Sith and this. Oh, sorry, what? 20 years? No, almost 20 years.
Almost
It
20
was
years. Yeah, we're getting
2005.
there. We're getting
Almost
there.
20 years.
Damn.
So first thing is the de-aging on him looks a lot better than last episode because it turns
Yes.
out he wasn't present for filming the end of the last episode. They had to
Yeah,
like chuck
which
his
was a
face
bit
on him,
chuck
CGI
his
body or
face
something.
on. Yeah, it was something really
He's weird.
janky they did. So, but yes, the
Yeah.
CGI was a lot better done.
Yeah.
And I think just even as well, like they just mainly put makeup on him for a lot of the scenes as well. A bit more as just his natural
Yeah.
face as well. Especially
It's
when
true.
they're doing the Clone Wars flashback scenes, which was phenomenal in themselves. So basically in this episode,
yes.
it is obviously Ahsoka confronting her past and everything like that, because obviously a very, very big thing with her character is that she feels responsible for the downfall of Anakin. And so did a lot of the Star Wars characters and what happened and everything like that. But this episode kind of shows that it wasn't her fault that happened in a way. And she has to learn to overcome that. And what Hayden Christensen does is basically gives her one final lesson in that and goes full Vader mode in this episode as well. And it is absolutely great. The sword fighting this episode on point. And I did see what you meant by last week's episode of the sword fighting not being that great. I did go back and watch it. I was like, yeah, compared to this, I don't think anything's gonna match the sword fighting these two actors did in this episode, and with everything else going on. It was a whole nother level this episode. But also as well, we did have flashbacks of a young Ahsoka, which they got. I forget the actress's
what's her
name, but she was in Barbie as the daughter, and she also played young Gamora in Endgame. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, when they do the flashback scenes, obviously they're going back when the Clone Wars first started. So we do see a very young Ahsoka with her original green lightsaber, and Hayden Christensen in the Clone Wars outfit on the Battle of Ryloth. I'm pretty sure it was. Man. And this is basically her Twi'leks. Yeah, her confronting like this is what war was, and her embracing the clones dying around her. Where back during the Clone Wars, clones were just seen as soldiers, expendable soldiers. Where Ahsoka always felt sympathetic for these characters and stuff like that. And Hayden Christensen's Anakin is trying to teach her like you must fight to survive, essentially type thing. Like this is how you win. It's either life or death type thing. So you must fight to live, essentially. And then obviously we go back through flashback scenes, and then we get to the Battle of Mandalore. Battle of Mandalore. The Siege of Mandalore.
Before we get to the Mandalore, can I talk about everything we saw prior to that? So basically, Ahsoka wakes up in the World Between Worlds. I'm like, holy shit, they're going in on this. What's going to happen?
Yep.
Anakin starts fighting her with the best sword fighting that we've seen since Revenge of the Sith. It's insane how fast he is, how good he is.
He does the little flip thing again from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. I learned how to do that as soon as I got a toy lightsaber. Anyway, so that move. But no, it makes me wish that the rest of the lightsaber fights in the show were as good as this. It's like whoever teached Hayden Christensen how to use a sword should teach the other guys, because this is disappointing with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because this one was good. But then anyway, everything goes yellow. And we're like, what's happening? Why does Ahsoka look like that? Her tendrils look a little small in the distance. What's going on here? Is that younger Ahsoka? And then we see Phase 1 clones that aren't CGI. They're proper outfits.
That's right. Yeah, it was the Phase 1.
Just run out of the fog. And you're like, whoa. As soon as that happened, I messaged you and I was like, Barry, you need to watch Ahsoka right now. That's when I paused it and I was like, put that on right now.
Put it on right now.
I'm going to have a shower and then I'm going to put it on. But so after that, we see Anakin run past. We see ATTEs. We see him in his Clone Wars armor.
Yes.
And it just looks insane. It still looks a little old.
It fits so well, though. Like, it's just so perfect looking. Because obviously, we have only seen an animated version of it, but it just fit him so well. Like, I would love a live action movie now of them wearing the armor. That would be great.
It's a live action Clone Wars movie. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
We're gonna redo it again.
We see more of that. We see parts of the Battle of Ryloth shaded in a fog of dust. We see a live action Captain Rex in his Phase 1 armor.
Yep.
Ahsoka's refusing to fight. And then we fast forward to, the Siege of Mandalore,
Yep.
And we see Phase 2 clones. The three, what are they? 332nd Battalion is Ahsoka's ones?
Yes, so yes, they
we see
had the
those.
332nd Battalion with the 501st as well, parts of them anyway that joined them. But yeah, also as well, the big thing for this part is that obviously Anakin joins her, where he wasn't there in the battle for Mandalore. You know, he was helping.
I don't remember this battle.
Yeah, I don't remember this battle. And that's the thing. Like, this is quite a big moment as well, as to understanding what Anakin actually is in this episode, almost, because he's not really a memory of Ahsoka. You know, he's his own thing,
and he's not a Force ghost either.
No.
It's a weird, because it doesn't explain anything, and it still doesn't really explain how the world between worlds works or any of this weird wackiness.
Yeah,
which I like. I kind of like to keep it a mystery. It feels very much like before the prequels, how the Force itself was like a mystical thing. Don't talk about it, and then they made it a thing. With midichlorians and stuff. So I hope that this doesn't become a midichlorian situation, and this is just, I don't know, space magic, like the gods, the Immortus gods, which it seems Anakin might be one of.
Yes, that is a very big fan theory at the moment. But also as well, so obviously after the Siege of Mandalore flashback scene, we have the part where Anakin goes full Darth Vader mode again. As Anakin, though, not with the Darth Vader outfit.
Oh, yeah.
But this is probably the best transitions I have ever seen in this episode, besides last week's one, between Anakin and Darth Vader. So in these scenes, they had literally Anakin going back and forth between the Darth Vader suit and just him with the glowing eyes and everything like that. And it was phenomenal, because obviously you could tell that it had to be two different actors in the suit doing the exact same path at the exact same time. And it just fit seamlessly. Like, that was just probably the best transitions I have ever seen in anything. Definitely high up there. And then obviously, yes, those two have a big, massive fight against one another. Anakin with his full Sith eyes and everything like that. And
Anakin bodies her, man.
Oh,
Anakin
completely wrecks
shit out of this guy.
Yeah,
it's great. And
it
then,
is great.
She eventually bests him.
Yep, and takes his lightsaber, but doesn't choose to fight him any further. And see, that's the difference between her and Anakin, and everything like that.
Hope for you yet,
and there's hope, but also as well during that scene, we do get a hint of Ahsoka's darkness, because you actually do see her eyes glow a little bit of a red, because obviously the lightsaber and everything, because she does have a dark side, but she chooses not to accept it, like what Anakin did. And, you know, obviously after that, Anakin becomes good again, because he realizes, like, I've trained you well. This is the right way to do things. And that's the thing. I really feel like this is what Dave Filoni always wanted for Anakin's character, for him to be like, well, essentially to be the father. He was meant to be the one, the chosen one, to bring balance to the Force. Even though what he did and everything like that, logically he did bring balance to the Force. And I feel like Dave Filoni is kind of retconning this, enticing it even more, being like he is basically like an Immortus god now.
Yeah.
And he is
literally the balance of the Force. Yeah.
He is the balance of the Force. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. It seems like, Dave Filoni is just kind of running with the biggest lore things, and it's working. This is really good. I was scared how they were going to do this episode. And how they were going to do Anakin justice.
Yep.
And he nailed it. I was like, this is perfect.
And then we also have one of the best things that happen after that. Obviously, Ahsoka gets out of the world between worlds, and she comes back as Ahsoka the White. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, they basically just ripped off Gandalf the Grey and stuff like that. But they've always done that. They kind of did that with Rebels, where they, before this show, they like retconned it because she was meant to wear a white robe in Rebels and stuff like that.
That's true.
And everything like that. And that's the whole point of her character.
It was in her wardrobe already. So it was in her ship.
She had it. To
be fair.
But yeah, she's obviously gone through a rebirth as well as a character, which was really cool to see.
The third time.
Yep. So she's like, I'm back again. They can't kill me off. Yay! Everyone loves me, as long as Dave Filoni's still around at Star Wars.
No, that's true.
And then obviously she uses the Purgles, the whales, giant space whales.
Yeah, eaten by a whale.
They got eaten by a whale. They did the Pinocchios.
They did do a Pinocchios.
And obviously they used the Purgles to go to the other galaxy, which basically where it ends. And then obviously in between this episode is where we had Hera trying to search for Ahsoka, and Jason's like, I can hear him in the waves, and he hears the Star Wars
Yeah,
battles and stuff like that. Yep. Yep, which is pretty cool to see. I feel like that was kind of
Yeah, sure.
the lower part of the show. This episode, I feel like
Yeah.
those characters. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, cool. Just follow Ahsoka, please.
Mm. But that
But
makes
yeah,
sense though. They
obviously.
had to get her out somehow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
it
yeah,
was
that's
fine. The
basically the
fact that he could
episode.
hear it. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the fact that Jason can hear it was cool.
Yep.
It was a bit
Yep.
weird seeing Hera could hear it, but maybe that's because the world between worlds was kind of right there. People were saying, "Oh, she can use the Force now." I'm like, no, she can't. She can hear
No,
these
no.
things.
Well, that's the thing, because this is what
Right now.
George Lucas has always said. Everyone can use the Force. It just depends on how
Oh.
much they can use the Force. You
Oh,
know,
everyone can use the Force. It's like poetry. Everyone can do it.
Well, everyone has the Force in them, type thing. Like there was an
Yeah.
old interview with him. Yeah,
for
obviously
sure.
people just have more power, like Jedis and stuff like that,
It's true.
over the Force.
She
So,
banged a Jedi. She had a Jedi inside her.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yes.
has some extra powers from from that, I'm sure.
from that.
Yep, that's how it
Um,
is. Oh, and we get to see more of Chopper. That's always fun. And then
That is
one
fun.
thing I would like to mention is the rebels in this episode weren't idiots. They weren't complete
No,
imbeciles. They showed
no,
up
they
and they were actually like,
weren't.
"All right, we'll hear you out. What's happening? Okay, whales. All right, we'll move out of their way.
Yep.
You're good."
Yep.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
"What?
also
They're
as
actually
well,
smart now?
we had the
Smart now?"
Mandalorian in this episode, by the way.
Yeah, we did.
We did. John Wayne. What's his name? No, what's his grandson's name? The one that actually does all the character movement for Mando, and Pedro Pascal just like does the voiceover now. I think it's John.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's
Wayne?
John Wayne's great grandson.
Been dead a while. Okay, no, John. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he's basically the guy that does all the movement for Brendan Wayne. That's it, Brendan Wayne. He's the guy that's basically under the helmet majority of The Mandalorian. Well, basically all the last season of Mandalorian, it basically was him. And Pedro Pascal just did the voice for it. He actually made his little appearance, and you saw part of his face. He had no talking lines, but you know, he was there. He was in it.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's cool. But yeah, obviously the biggest takeaway was that Hayden Christensen came back as Anakin, and in a totally new form, new way, and completely hit it out of the park again with his character. Like you were saying earlier, Hayden Christensen is Anakin Skywalker. Like,
oh yes,
he is. Like, it is phenomenal every time you see him come back, either as Anakin or Vader. He does that weird combination now. And also as well, there's one thing I want to point out as well, during that fight when he's like transitioning between Anakin and Vader, that they also modulated his voice a couple times to sound like a voice modulator like Darth Vader did.
And it
I was like, that's
awesome.
cool. That was cool.
It sounded so good. Again, the
really
sound
cool.
design in Star Wars is peak. It's honestly
yeah.
the most consistently good sound in any movie ever. It's the music, the sound of Star Wars.
The sound of Star Wars.
Insane.
It's a great
the
documentary.
sound of
Go and watch
Star
it.
Wars. And there's not much else you can say about the sound of Star Wars other than it's
it's not. Yeah.
Even when it's a terrible movie, the sound's gonna be great. And this was not a good. This was a great episode.
Oh yeah.
Of Ahsoka.
Yeah. I understand why now it was like put into selected cinemas and everything like that.
Oh yeah, I would have loved to have seen this in cinema. That would have been cool.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. Like even like the cinematography on it, I feel like was a lot better done this episode than like all the other ones. Like every shot,
man, I'm telling you,
looked phenomenal. Like there is literally a shot where Hu Yang and Ahsoka are sitting in the ship, like sitting right next to each other when all the whales come, and it is such a good looking shot. Like it literally is.
Yes. Yeah,
and then obviously the word
shot.
between worlds and everything like that, and like the whole battles that they show of Clone Wars era, like kind of being real smoky, and you only see like the big weapons and stuff like that in the background as shadows type thing, because it obviously is meant to be like a mystery type thing. I feel like that worked really well in those scenes. And yeah, it was just that whole dynamic of Anakin and Ahsoka. Even the young Ahsoka actress that they did such an amazing performance up against Hayden Christensen, who was adored by Star Wars fans. She stood her own in those scenes with him. I feel like she kept up with him, and then obviously Rosario Dawson with Hayden Christensen and their big fight scene and her standing up against him and everything like that for like one final lesson and everything like that.
It's once again another episode
phenomenal.
of Ahsoka where the side characters steal the show, but it's still good. It's like, poor Ahsoka, she's getting sidelined in her own show because all of the other performances are so good. Hers is good too, but it just makes it feel like it's the Hayden Christensen show currently, you know.
Yeah, she's
The
kind of like
David
the
Tennant
glue
show.
getting all these characters together in a
Yeah,
way. You know, like all the
that's
characters
true.
are interacting her in one way.
Yeah.
So
Waiting for
yeah.
Mando to show up. The next 2 episodes are gonna be just the Mandalorian again, and I'm waiting for it.
Oh yeah, yeah, probably,
We've got
probably.
what, 3 episodes left? We're over halfway through.
Yeah. So 3 episodes left now. This was part 5 because only an episode season. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting 3 episodes because we still haven't even seen the new galaxy yet. That's
Oh, the
that's
blue
still a
guy.
thing. Or
Blue guy.
or Thrawn. You know, this is the whole build up for this new what they're trying to do with the TV shows is to build to Dave Filoni's Thrawn trilogy, which is going to be I think the next set of films that they are planning to do and everything like that. Or besides Lando's film now.
Yeah, Lando.
But yeah, this is meant to be the whole thing to tie everything into Force Awakens, you know, the new order and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just going to be actually kind of cool when we do have Thrawn, because I am very much looking forward to his character being put into the show. But it's just like, is he going to outperform Hayden Christensen's character and performance in the show when he comes in?
Well, I hope so.
Because so far, every episode, every episode is getting better than the last. You know, like it's remaining consistent and gradually going better.
Yep.
And I feel like this season or this show might be the exception of all the other Disney shows is actually going to end on a high. I have a very strong feeling because that's the thing. We're over halfway now and we haven't even seen Thrawn or the new galaxy. There's a whole new galaxy we still have not seen yet. And this is the first time in live action Star Wars or any Star Wars media besides the books or legends and stuff like that, where we're actually going to visually see a brand new Star Wars galaxy. And we are going to see probably the biggest, baddest villain in all of Star Wars. Or one of the biggest, baddest villains in all of Star Wars.
Oh, but I cannot wait till next week's episode. We're getting everything. We're getting the new universe. We're getting the Blue Man group. We're getting everybody. It's going to be insane. I can't wait.
It is going to be an insane episode.
Oh.
So we'll give final thoughts and ratings. So my rating for this episode is going to be a 9.5. So far, this is the best episode of Star Wars, anything ever for me. Seeing those scenes with live action Clone Wars was just phenomenal to see because obviously I watched Clone Wars growing up as a kid and everything like that. Love Star Wars. And then seeing that put into live action with Hayden Christensen coming back against Rosario Dawson, both of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, actually sharing a screen together in live action was just great to see. And I've watched this episode now 5 times since it's come out. Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. I absolutely adore this episode and love it so much. And I probably will watch it again tonight, if I'm being honest. Because since we talked about it, I will watch it again.
Barry.
But that's the thing. I think this is my new favorite Star Wars show now. Andor was good in all its glory and stuff like that because it was very gritty and stuff like that because of this one episode now. And obviously, like that could change because we still got 3 more. But I think it's going to be quite a good ending because it's Dave Filoni writing the entire thing. He's, overseeing everything quite meticulously. So far, this is my favorite Star Wars show that they've made.
Yeah, no, I almost agree with you. I still prefer the first season of The Mandalorian to everything else, just because that was such a killer. And the first episode of the first season of The Mandalorian is still my favorite Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
This one's up there. Because I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. This was almost perfect Star Wars. Again, little nitpicks, little things, just some little writing issues here and there, little fight issues. No. It's still good. I still loved it, and I still want more. Like, if this show stays this good, then I want 30 seasons, 400 movies, whatever Filoni has planned, as long as it stays consistently good. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice. Very high scores. And that's the thing. I think it's currently sitting at a 9.7 on IMDb. Or 9.4, sorry, on IMDb.
That's really high for IMDb.
Yeah, that is very high for IMDb. So,
especially Star Wars, man.
Yeah, Star Wars is good again. Star Wars is good again. We can firmly say
until it's not.
After the sequel trilogy and Mandalorian season 3 and Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars is good. That's right.
Barry, I'm telling you, it's the rule of balance. There's half of Star Wars is good and half of Star Wars is bad. It's the rule of
and the 2. Other so the half of that Dave Filoni doesn't get involved with is the bad stuff.
Pretty much. I mean, you can
Let's
throw
be honest.
bits of the prequels and stuff in there. Then you got the good ones.
Yeah,
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 like, I firmly believe that, yeah, it's Star Wars is half good and half terrible. It's
yeah. It's meant to have the
like,
balance. It's like the Force. It's meant to be balance. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, pretty much.
Okay.
Anyway, wrap it up there,
Anyway,
Mr. Barry.
I feel like that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode.
I
So,
think so.
thank you everyone for coming out, listening to the podcast. Yet again, make sure to follow us everywhere. We have YouTube. We're on all the podcast places. We're everywhere. I have been your host, Barry. This was Clayton as well.
I'm Clayton.
And
Hello.
we will see you in the next episode. Goodbye. See you in the next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Should you come up with like an outro or something?
Yeah.
Alright, let me kick Craig out.
God damn it, Craig. We don't want you around.
Go on. Should I set it to go up for tomorrow night?
Yeah. This is the normal time and everything.
Upload it and tell it to come out tomorrow. So, Lost Craig links, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can't get over how much I enjoyed Asteroid City.
Yeah. It just didn't catch me, man. I don't know why. Because that's the thing. Like, it is a wacky, zany film, and you thought, like, out of all people, would have, like, loved it. And it was just like, eh.
It's true. I mean, think about it. It's basically your Gronk film. It's wacky and it's an alien.
Yeah, basically.
You did this first. Wes Anderson stole your idea.
God damn it,
And
Wes
also
Anderson.
nothing happened in yours either. Nothing happened in yours. So
I can't even
it's
remember the
same
title
movie.
of what it's called, so you know.
Yeah, good point. Oh man, can we get a sequel to that at some point?
That's next year's Gronk one I do.
Oh, true.
No, we combine the Gronk's
so
assist. We combine the Gronk's assist and my one together.
The alien?
Yeah, the alien.
The alien assist.
The alien
Alien's
assist.
assist. The Gronk's alien assist. That's it. The Gronk's alien assist. What was your out of this world? Will you do out of this world versus the Gronk's assist? It'll be like
That's
Alien
right,
versus
out of this
Predator.
world. I always forget that it's called that because it doesn't have a Gronk in it.
There's two. Keep that in mind because have two Gronk groups ever combined to make a movie, like a combined film, like it's a part 1 and a part 2? Because that might be a genius idea that we should keep in mind.
Yeah, we can see. We
It would
can
really
see.
spin everyone out.
It would spin everyone out. But yes, also going back to tonight's episode of Ahsoka. Yeah, so basically a big thing at the moment is that Anakin basically looks like he has become a Mortis god now. He is the balance between the dark and the light with what they showed. Because that's the thing.
Father
like,
was dead, so
yeah, it wasn't her memory of it. It was a total new thing. And then that line or whatever, where she says, I won't fight you. And then he turns around and says, I've heard that before. Where did he hear that before? Where did he hear that before, Clayton? In his fight
Mortis,
against Luke. No, in his fight against Luke in Return of the Jedi. Because Luke said, I won't fight you.
I won't fight you, father. And you will die.
Yeah. So that's the thing now. It's just like, I hope maybe well, that's the thing. Like you were saying, I still want the word between worlds left to be a mystery type thing. And like, it's still going to be like one of those things.
Well, the
like,
Anakin can be explained.
Anakin should be explained, I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. But yeah, that was just a phenomenal episode. That was just glorious.
It was really good. Makes me wish Filoni was directing the rest of them.
Yeah.
Like this was his one. Like, come on, man. Surely you're not doing too much else.
And that's the thing. This is the thing. Like that's like such a high point for the show, and yet we're not even at Thrawn yet.
Yeah, it's doing really well without
like, holy shit,
bad guy of the show, right?
Yeah.
Like this is half of what the trailers were showing, and it's doing really well. That in of its own is a great feat. Great feat of engineering. Oh, there we go.
Well, that's the thing now. Are they going to potentially leave Thrawn until the final episode?
Maybe. He was teased. He had a couple scenes in the trailer.
Yeah, but that could all be
Oh
in the final
no.
episode. So
Could.
well, yeah, I suppose there's only 3 episodes
Could.
left, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so let's think this logically. Next episode, they're in the other world. Think the rest of the show is going to take place there, or are they going to come back? Because that changes things up a bit.
Well, that's the thing as well. A lot of people are speculating that they might not be coming back. This could lead into its own little thing in this new galaxy now.
Ooh, that would be a little funky. But then how would we get the Mandalorian to come back like that?
Well, that's the
We get
thing,
our
because
money.
I'm not sure like what they're doing with the Mandalorian now, because how season 3 was received and how it ended. I feel like they're kind of done with maybe that character potentially. Yeah.
Let me write it. I'd write a killer Mandalorian.
But that's the thing, like what can they do now, really, with like the Mandalorian? He's retired.
That's true, he is retired. I guess just wait for the movie for when they need him to come fight Thrawn in a big battle.
Yeah.
Have him come back in the Avengers Infinity War.
But for Star Wars,
whatever they're setting up. Yeah, have everyone show up. That'd be really cool. Hopefully by the time those movies come out, they've like perfected the CGI deepfake stuff, so we can have the young Luke and young Han Solo and all that just come back. It's just the original trilogy again. Like, it's so cool if they can figure out that.
I really want them just to like explore new things like they done with Ahsoka and stuff like that.
But the big conclusion fight, which we know that they're doing, the heir to the Empire stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like it depends as well when they add the Thrawn character. How big of a villain like is he going to be? Essentially, that's the other thing.
I hope, I hope he's just he's the entire reason the First Order exists and was so powerful.
Well, that's the only logical
Thrawn
thing. I feel like that's what they're setting him up to be. With it all,
hope
stuff
so,
like that, which is the only really logical thing to connect it all to the sequel.
The First Order doesn't make sense otherwise. Yeah. So stupid. I don't know. I saw a funny meme as well. It was like Anakin and Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds, and Anakin's like, Snips, go tell my son that Palpatine's alive and he's actually Snoke and he's got a fleet on Exegol of Death Star ships, and he go do this. Just like Anakin could have just like said that and fixed everything. That would have been great.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have got
It's still it's still like weird how the worlds in between worlds work as well, like how Dave Filoni explained it, because he's like, it's based upon
he didn't explain it.
No, he did not in the movie, but like in the interview. No, he was just like, it's meant to be a reflection of the person that's in its like thoughts and forces, connection with the Force. So that's why this World Between World looks a bit different than when Ezra was in World Between Worlds and everything like that.
So he's saying it's bullshit and he can make it up as he goes.
Exactly. Just comes back every 10 years, you know? He just like, have we done World Between Worlds in a while? It's like, nah, all right, put it in this episode.
I still don't know how it works.
I still don't know how it works. I'm figuring it out. Yeah.
I'm like George Lucas, but with a hat. Yeah.
Haha. I even sound like him now.
He does kind of sound like... They talk very similar. They have very similar mannerisms. That's what I said. And everything.
He needs to be basically the new head of Lucasfilm.
Should do a George Lucas biopic and have Dave Filoni play him. That'd be great.
That would be great. That would be great.
Would be great.
Well,
right,
I feel like we'll end that director's cut there. Thank you, director's cut people, for always being here. Make sure to hit that like button and YouTube stuff.